I want to talk to you about how to form a single member LLC. In today's conversation, I'll be as granular as possible. I'll give you all the details. So this will be an in-depth guide. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. So if you are on your own, let's say you want to form a one-person business, a single member LLC status is really great because you are able to enjoy all the benefits that come with the LLC status. Okay. And so the thing is, if you are a one-person business, you have the choice to be either a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC, among other business tax structures. And an SMLC, as it's called, single member LLC, has many tax advantages and enjoys operational flexibility that other business structures do not provide. And it's really important to understand that when you actually are thinking about being on your own, whether you want to be an independent contractor or self-employed, whatever, think about the single member LLC business structure. And what I want to say here is that a single member LLC has one owner or member. Sometimes you hear the term one member or one owner, LLC member or LLC owner. This means that one individual bears the complete responsibility of the company, including being accountable for tax payments. And many freelancers choose to create an SMLC because this gives them the freedom to add additional employees in the future. Let me give you a few pro tips here. Why should you form a single member LLC? Well, you have a lot of tax advantages and also operational advantages. So you have flexible taxation, you have flexible management framework, you have public record, and then you have name credibility. So when we talk about name credibility, for example, if you compare a single member LLC to a sole proprietorship, a single member LLC gives more weight and legitimacy to your selected name. Okay. In terms of public record, your SMLC will be on the public record by name. As such, competitors will be barred from replicating your name. In terms of flexible management framework, many small businesses prefer to create an SMLC structure over corporations because of the decreased reporting and record-keeping requirements. And in terms of flexible taxation, well, an SMLC can be taxed as a sole proprietorship or a corporation, depending on the advantages of either. So it's always better to talk to a tax advisor to determine which taxation method might be the best for you. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy this enriching conversation. Let me talk to you about the steps you need to follow if you want to set up a single member LLC. The very first thing you need to do here is to choose your LLC's name. Now you might be thinking, well, this is easy. I don't have to sweat too much. No. It's a very serious thing because it has consequences at many levels. So you want to select the desired name for your SMLC, and you want to search your state registry to ensure it is still available. And most states enable you to reserve a name before creating your SMLC if you're not yet ready to form your SMLC. Let's dig a little deeper here. First of all, you want to search. You got to search. So first of all, you want to make sure that your name is professional, that your name actually fits the niche that you want to pursue, and that your name actually has maybe LLC after the name. For example, John Doe, LLC, or John Doe Accounting LLC if you are in accounting, or if you are in marketing, John Doe Marketing, LLC. Why? Because you want basically to sound professional. See, you don't form an LLC just to play around. You want to form an LLC to reflect. You want to reflect, I would say, an appearance of seriousness, which you should have anyway. So that's number one. So the name is already there. So once you have a name, then you're gonna have to do you're going to have to go through a process of trials and errors. What I mean by that is that you go to your state registry, and whatever name you come up with, you want to search it in the registry to make sure it is available. And so you do that, until you find a name that works for you. And then you actually, it's always better to reserve the name if your state authorities so allow, because right now you probably should be thinking about, you could probably be thinking about forming an LLC, but you can actually make the actual decision 3 months from now. But in the meantime, somebody else could actually have taken your name. So this is why you want to reserve the name. Most states will charge you like $25, up to $25 to reserve the name. and they will give you like a time window, like maybe a 3 months or 6 months maximum, where the name will be available only for you, will be locked for you. They'll lock it for you. And but it's only like a very limited time window, and do not wait too long. So once you're ready, you just go and just apply, not a problem. Okay. So this is actually the process you want to follow. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I'm having a conversation with you about how to form a single member LLC. So step number 1, you want to choose your LLC's name. Step number 2, you want to designate a registered agent. So here is another important element. When we talk about designating a registered agent, we're speaking about a very important criterion in your LLC arsenal. You know, when you think about a registered agent, you can either be your own registered agent, or you can be this can be an employee that you're working with. Remember, when you have a single member LLC, you can still have employees. So don't think that because you have a single member LLC, it's only one person in the business. No, one person who owns the business. But you, as one person, you can hire an entire like army of people to work for you. It's just that you still own the business. You're not sharing the business ownership with the other partners. That's what makes you a single member or a single partner LLC. But you can have employees, and you can actually designate one of those employees as a registered agent for the LLC if he or she so wants it. Okay. You can also just make things a lot easier, which is what we advise our clients to do. Basically, just outsource the whole task to a third party. You have a lot of players, a lot of LLC services that also offer ancillary services around registered agent. Okay. When you go from Zen Business to Taylor Brands. Now, Taylor Brand doesn't offer a registered agent. You have Zen Business, you have InkFile, you have registered Northwest registered agent. I was blanking for a minute there. So the bottom line here is what? The bottom line is that when you think about designating a registered agent, you have choices. And this is an important element. Many states require that the person or entity that is your SMLC's registered agent be over 18, physically present in the state, and available during standard business hours during the week to receive legal documents on behalf of your SMLC. And you do not want to be your own registered agent. You do not want it, because you need to actually shield yourself, and you need to shield your family affairs from public records. Because see, a registered agent is a matter of public record, and you do not want to actually expose your family, your home address, and everything else, you know, as a matter of public record. So just outsource everything to a third party. It's just a lot easier. Step number 3, you want to obtain proper licenses and permits. So basically, if you're trying to form a single member LLC, you need to see if your state and your profession, for that matter, require you to have some licenses and permits. Several states require that you obtain a general business license and might require your business within a specific industry to secure further appropriate licenses for doing business in the state. So you need to ensure that you have the proper licenses and permits with the proper government agencies of your local or state authority. Because the thing is that when it comes to licensing, some counties, some cities, so you can have you might be required to receive to actually get a business license from the state authority or from accounting authority. So it can be and or. Okay, so this is kind of important to really pay attention to that. One thing I need to say here is that when we talk about getting the proper licenses and permits, remember that those licenses are renewable. So basically maybe every 3 years or every 2 years. And be very careful here, because if you are in an industry that is heavily regulated, let's say healthcare, for instance, you need to have like all your licenses must be valid, because God forbid, if you get audited and stuff happens and you do not have, I would say, let's just say you don't have a proper license or permits, then you are in trouble. Especially, like I said, there are some industries that are very, very prone to this sort of regulatory scrutiny, especially healthcare, because this is what we know. This is what we have some clients in, and those clients, they're like audited all the time. So it's up to you to really have a clear idea about the industry you're in, as well as the risk for auditing there are in that industry. Now, you're not going to get a business license or keep it valid simply because you're scared about being audited. No, you're just doing this for the public good. You're doing this good to be compliant, right? Being compliant, being a good citizen, being a good business citizen is a great thing to have. Boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to form a single member LLC. The next thing I want you to do here, and this is step number 4, you need to register your single member LLC. So once you have completed this initial steps that I just told you, you are ready to register your single member LLC with the state authority. Remember, when we talk about single member LLC registration or multi-member LLC registration, it always happens at the state level. There is no registration happening at the federal level. Okay. If anybody is just, anybody telling you, hey, listen, give me money and I'll just register your LLC at the federal level, that person is dazzling you. They are dazzling you. You don't want that. So if you want to register your SMLC with the state authority, you must submit your articles of organization, called the articles of formation in some states. And in a few states, they're called your operating agreement. So you need to prepare your articles of organization. And the thing is that, this is here. Information that you need to identify in the articles of organization includes the name and address of your company, the name and address of your registered agent, and the reasons why your company was formed in the first place. So filing your SMLC's articles of incorporation, that's another name for it though, can be done either in person, by mail, or online, and requires a certain fee. So filing this form is typically the fastest route, often taking 24 to 48 hours. Nothing really complicated here. You could do it yourself. Now, and so if you were to file a single member LLC, you might be able to file it for free, excepting the fact that you need to pay something to the state authorities. It can be $40, $50. That's really if you want to invest your own time in the whole process. So think about creating your operating agreement. So an operating agreement defines how your company will function and details the ownership structure for its member or members. Often, in most states, your operating agreement doesn't need to be submitted to the state. So despite your status as the sole member of the company, this is still an important document to protect your company from lawsuits, because you never know. You really never know, right? It's all about covering your ass. So it's really about making sure that you look at all the you need to actually don't put all your eggs in the proverbial basket. You need to diversify. So diversify means that you are being compliant from the get-go. So you are making sure that you have the proper documentation so that if anything were to happen, you're covered anyway. So this is important. Let's quickly talk about SMLC versus sole proprietorship. What's really the difference? If you remember, when I started today's conversation, I was talking to you about the fact that if you are a one-person business, you have the option to actually choose a single member LLC or a sole proprietorship to actually conduct business. This applies to owner-operators, independent contractors, so on and so forth. So single member LLCs are similar to sole proprietorships because one person manages the business entity. But there are differences that affect how each is formed, taxed, and is actually exposed to liability in their respective business structures. First of all, let's talk about formation. So a sole proprietorship is formed without needing to file any state papers to that effect, typically in the name of the sole proprietor. To form a single member LLC, you must file official documents with the state for recognition as such. What about taxation? Well, for federal tax purposes, sole proprietors need to file their income and losses as part of their personal income tax. So if you're a sole proprietor, you're going to have to file information on your when you file your 1040. With a single member LLC, you must decide whether you want to be taxed as a corporation, usually as an S corporation, or if you prefer to be taxed as a disregarded entity LLC, so that you will be taxed as a sole proprietor. So for taxation purposes, a disregarded entity is one that enables pass-through of the company's profits and losses to an individual's personal income. So this is totally possible. And also, let's think about liability. So a sole proprietor's personal assets are vulnerable to business lawsuits, whereas the personal assets of an SMLC's members are shielded from lawsuits. So the inverse also holds true. So the inverse also holds true here. If a sole proprietor is sued personally, their business assets are rendered vulnerable to the suits. If a member of the SMLC is sued personally, their business assets are not subject to any judgment. In sum, a sole proprietor is a simpler form of business but carries liability risk than an SMLC does not. Depending on the nature of your business needs and services, an SMLC with its few extra registration steps might be best for you when it comes to your business venture. So the question is the single member LLC worth it? Let's talk about the pros and cons so we have a clear idea whether or not it is really what the path you should go after. So if you're still deciding whether an SMLC is right for your business venture, consider the following pros and cons of establishing a single member LLC for your business. So let's talk about the pros first. You have personal liability protection. You have separation of business and personal assets. This is really good. Credibility as a recognized business within the states. And you have actually the election to be taxed as a corporation or a sole proprietor. So this is really, really good. You have the ability to hand down ownership to another member or to add members. This is really fantastic. So those are the pros you want to think about when you are considering, let's say, registering your business as a single member LLC. Let's talk about the cons here. Well, there is required paperwork and attendance fees for company formation. This is one of the reasons why a lot of small business owners, they're not really interested in getting to the single member LLC sort of game. And you also have required compliance with state record keeping obligations. Remember, depending on the state you're in, you might have to file an annual form, an annual report. You might have to think about stuff like, if the state wants you to really pay certain fees, and you might also need, because if you do not pay those fees, you are not going to get a certificate of good standing. So those certificate of good standing, they cost money, and you also need to think about your tax obligations at the state level. And I'm not even talking about your sales taxes as well. So you have a constellation of benefits, that's for sure, but you have to also account for certain detriments. And if you're comfortable, you can work with those detriments and you don't really care about anything else, then you are on a good path to actually identify what was really working for you. And so overall, this is just a fantastic sort of decision if you were to ever go with becoming a single member LLC. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was talking to you about how to form a single member LLC. So I gave you the overview, the pro tips, and the steps. So the steps are basically choose your LLC's name, designate a registered agent, obtain proper licenses and permits, register your SMLC. And I also talked to you a little bit about SMLC versus sole proprietorship. And so really, I give you also single member LLC pros and cons. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.